I believe the next question came from a letter that you attached from the one that goes by Will.
Yes.
They wanted to know what the 13th seal was and how someone could become a keeper of it.
Correct.
The 13th seal is no mere ward, nor charm of preservation, but a covenant wrought in deliberate defiance of the heavens. Unlike the 12 seals of binding, each recognized in formal doctrine as safeguards of body, mind, or spirit, the 13th is unacknowledged in any sanctioned canon, for it does not preserve, it severs. Its inscriptions read 13 strata of interdiction, each calculated to deny the passage of a soul to divine custodianship. Thus, one bound by the 13th seal eludes reclamation, judgment, or rebirth, standing apart from every cycle the gods ordained. Such liberation, however, carries a dire cost. The sealed soul forsakes all divine grace, blessings, and benedictions existing beyond the reach of both mercy and wrath. It is, in every sense, an unmaking of covenant between mortal and God, and for that reason is among the most proscribed of all arcane workings. How he came to this knowledge and the origin of this title, Keeper of the 13th Seal, is unknown. As far as we know, nobody was ever able to possess full knowledge or understanding of the 13th Seal. All that is known is that Vexor Mourntide was the last known to devote study to it, and would have been the foremost expert on the subject. If he did die, then the knowledge went with him. No further writings or studies have ever surfaced since. This is more than likely why he is called the Keeper of the 13th Seal.
Thank you for answering the question.
I believe your next question was upon planar theory. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, I was wondering the definition of planar theory to the Mages Guild here in Wyndlor.
Yeah. But perhaps I can explain that one.
Thank you.
In the context of arcane magic, planar theory is usually a branch of magical scholarship that deals with the structure, nature, and interactions of the plane of existence. Think of it as the metaphysics and cosmology of magic, explaining where power comes from, how reality is layered, and why spells can reach beyond the material world. Let's first understand the nature of planes. Planes are seen as distinct realms of existence, each with its own laws of physics, time, and magic. Planar theory attempts to classify them. You have a prime, a material plane, where mortals live. Transitive planes, liminal realms, such as shadow, astral, ethereal, and they connect others. Then you would have the inner planes, that of the elemental, energy-based worlds. Consider that your fire, water, positive and negative energy. You would also have the outer planes, realms tied to alignment, gods, and metaphysical concepts. That then leads us into the magical correspondence with planes. The spells and rituals may draw directly from planar energy. Take, for example, casting a fireball would be a controlled siphon of elemental fire. Raising the dead is a negotiation with the border between the material plane and the afterlife. Planar theory provides the framework to explain why these spells work instead of being mere tricks of willpower. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. Thank you for answering my question as well.
Of course.
It seems as though another one of your questions would be about the standards and requirements that must be met to receive the Obsidian Laureate from the Mages Guild.
Ah,
And,
yes. If there was an
one-
equivalent here.
yes. The Obsidian Laureate is one of the highest and most dangerous honors that a Mage Guild can bestow. It's not simply a medal or a title, but a recognition of a mage that has gone beyond mastery into territory that few really dare try to thread. There's some requirements, quite a few to be honest with you. The first is an arcane mastery. The candidate must demonstrate proven mastery of at least 3 distinct schools of magic, with recognized contributions to the theory or application of each. At least one of these must be a forbidden or a high-risk school magic, such as, necromancy, planner binding, chronomancy, studied without succumbing to the corruption or the madness. And that's an easy task. The second would be an original contribution. The laureate is only awarded when a mage has created a new spell or a theory or a paradigm of magical thought that alters the guild's collective knowledge. This contribution must be reproducible and verifiable by the High Council of the Magisters. Third is a trial of obsidian. Candidates undergo a trial of obsidian, a test designed not to measure raw power, but the mage's resilience, their will, and the balance of their mind when subjected to extreme arcane strain. This test is done in the obsidian vaults, a chamber that would suppress external energies and reflect a mage's own magic back upon them. Failure often leads to permanent scarring, mental, spiritual, or physical. And then there would be your ethical provenance. Though the guild may tolerate questionable practices, a candidate must prove that their works have advanced magical civilization rather than degraded it. Proof may take form of the scholarly works, artifacts created, or students trained who themselves achieve renown. Then, at least 3 guild mages, archmages, must sponsor the candidate's nomination. The entire High Council must convene for deliberation, and a complete and unanimous approval is required. Even one voice can block the award. The Obsidian Laureate is not given to tyrants. A candidate must show through oath and history that their power that they wield, well, will not turn into a pursuit of domination. Records of abuse or abuse of magic or personal empire or reckless destruction disqualify any mage. But receiving that lure binds the mage into a lifelong covenant within the guild. They must answer when they're called upon, preserve the guild's secrets, and serve as an arbiter of disputes between the lesser magi. Renouncing or betraying this covenant marks the mage as a pariah obsidian, a hunted figure feared more than liches themselves. The reward itself is a black crystal circlet, or a medallion of volcanic glass set with a silver glyph. The obsidian represents both danger and clarity, the sharp edge of true magic. They're typically addressed as Magister Obsidian and may append the title to their names.
That being said, this Vexor Mourntide would have been able to complete and meet every standard needed to receive the obsidian warrant.
He must have been an amazing man before. He's still amazing now, really, if you think about it. That's quite something. Huh.
Indeed,
That is a great deal of prestige and trust that is placed on an individual with that title. Or that, I guess, well, I guess gift is what it is. You earn that.
though if you would have read the dossier that we sent out
Yes.
before your questions, you would already know that Vexor Mourntide was a remarkable
Yes.
person, at least in his early years.
I've reiterated that to a few people. Well, we said it to a few people since then. Do not underestimate the intelligence of this individual. And it sounds like we should not ever think that we are one step ahead at this rate. That's just a personal opinion. But thank you for answering my question, Grandmakers.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely will have more
You
questions.
had also asked if the Mages Guild of Wyndlor have an equivalent to the same practice as Azoria's Mages Guild. Simply to understand how high the bar is set for such an honor.
Mm,
We think that you are confused.
okay.
The Mages Guild of Wyndlor is not a university or even a school.
Mm,
We are merely but a branch of the Mages Guild. The main branch or root of the Mages Guild is located in Iaspello, far to the east in the kingdom of Placia. There are a number of universities spread throughout the world. Each of them specialize in all schools of magic. However, the one in Azoria is a particularly well-renowned school. Many of the greatest mages of the world have graduated from that particular institution, including the one that you seek information about, one Vexor Mourntide.
Well, thank you actually for clarifying that. That lets me understand the structure here a bit more. And corrects my misinformation. Thank you.
I believe you had also asked of suggestions on how an individual may influence, alter, perhaps even copy or destroy a necromantic focus. Mainly the references to the ink used in the journal of Vexor
Yes.
Mourntide?
Yes. In particular, yes.
Allow me. A necromantic focus, such as silver-based ink, is described as not merely a mundane substance, more so a vessel imprinted with both sympathetic correspondence and binding enchantments. To effect it, with influence, alter, copy, or destroy, one must account for three intertwined aspects: its material basis, its arcane resonance, and its necromantic tethering. A breakdown, if you would like, would be how you approach. You could use influence, somewhat of a subtle manipulation. Consider sympathetic interference, introducing resonant material, bone dust, grave soil, or even perhaps mercury. Putting that nearby to get a pull on its necromantic, putting it off balance without outright breaking it. This weakens the ink holding without being too obvious. You may consider a counter chant, such as whispered charms of stillness. These may often be from funerary rites. They can dull the responsiveness of the focus, slowing any spell written within it. There's also blood infusion, adding one's own life, even a drop. It can overlay personal resonance and cause the focus to heed you instead of its creator. If you were to consider alteration, attempting to change its properties, you could consider, firstly, alchemical dilution, mixing the ink with consecrated water or sun-dried ash or even powdered salt. May have an effect on its arcane, the color and such. Twisting necromantic energy towards warding rather than summoning. There could also be runic overriding, inscribing protective sigils, such as warding runes or life-affirming glyphs. This would be done onto the vessel holding the ink, perhaps shifting its potency. Sometimes this causes necromantic output to manifest as illusions rather than true bindings. And then another, planetary binding. If you were to align it with a different plane, not that I'd want to, but Shadowfell versus Ethereal, the ink's focus shifts, making it unpredictable but no longer purely necromantic. If you were to consider copying, replication or duplication, you have several choices. Whether that be alchemical echoing. A skilled alchemist can trace the recipe by analyzing residue and substitute base materials. Whether that be, tin, lead, or even quicksilver. This would need to be done invoking the same words as what Vexor used. Bear in mind, a copy won't hold full potency unless keyed with the same sacrifices. Perhaps you would consider a sympathetic imprint. Place a sheet of vellum or parchment over fresh script written in focus. This would create a faded but magically charged copy. Like a rubbing on a tree of the original enchantment. Another would be a mirror binding, using a scrying surface, somewhat of obsidian or perhaps even silvered glass, while the ink is freshly applied, of course. This could capture its resonance in reflection and store it in another liquid medium. And then finally, considering destruction. Unmaking of the doing, but hopefully safely. You would have solar purification. Direct exposure to full sunlight, especially during dawn. This has been considered to break down many necromantic inks, Silver, consider that, resonates within moonlight, but burns in solar fire. Then there is the consecrated flame. Burning it with blessed oil or holy incense. The ink in this case will resist, often manifesting phantasmal shapes, until the last trace of silver black essence is consumed. As some have practiced with salt and iron banishment, mixing the ink with pure salt and filings of cold iron strips away its necromantic memories, very much rendering it inert. And then finally, the soul unbinding rite. Well, if the ink was tied to sacrifices, which I imagine Vexor often would have done, then a release rite, naming the dead and giving them leave to depart. This must be performed. Or else destroying the ink may release hostile spirits.
Many mages guilds recognize and empathize caution on this, though. Necromantic Faki isn't, especially ones tied to Mourntide's craft, are never only material. They may contain fragments of will, echoes to those of, well, who were sacrificed to create them. Destroying such a focus without rites does release, or has the risk of unleashing the bound essence rather than snuffing it out.
That would absolutely make sense. Thank you. For Thank you also again for answering my question. I I've got a lot of stuff rolling around in my head. If I have any more questions, is it all right if I send them ahead, or send them with Lyra?
Whatever you prefer.
All
You
right.
had asked one more question. I
Hmm.
believe we skipped over it because we don't really know what to say about it.
I was just curious. I think it's one of his projects, correct?
Yeah, we were not giving any, or were privy to any
Mm.
further information on what Vexor Mourntide worked on during his time at the university.
Aside from the
What we have is the only information that was provided to us by the Mages Guild of Azoria. We believe that you already have plenty to go on. Anything more would be more than likely just redundant or simply fluff. Remember, we do not even know who he was,
I understand.
or that he was even in this place. Nor have we ever even heard the name before you brought it forth to us. This is everything that we, the Mages Guild of Wyndlor, know about him, and you have received exactly what we have.
I will. As my The reason I had asked what I did was merely because of understanding what I had read about him, to understand that he was a man of placement and prestige. I was just trying to figure out what projects may have caught people's interest, but I do understand that he was heavily invested, at least in the research on the 13th Seal. So I guess that was one of his projects.
Indeed.
So it does answer my
That is
question.
what he is best known for as far as we know.
Okay, that answers that question for me, at least what his prominent project was at the time. Thank you. I appreciate it. And anything that I've learned here this evening, I will make sure that gets shared with others, so that you aren't getting repeat questions, as I know you have been getting.
Thank you. That is greatly appreciated. Many people think that, well, we've got nothing better to do.
Oh, all very busy, and we need to consolidate our questions, like Lyra tried to do with this. So we need to continue to do such things.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Not at this time.
Yes. When you spoke of the many ways of dispelling or destroying uh, the lich thing, you spoke of the holy censers and such like this. Does holy fire count for that list as well? Getting rid of the inks and
It could be considered, yes, but I would certainly urge great caution.
Aside from that, we, nor do I believe you, are in possession of any of Vexor Mourntide's writings. It's a moot point, really, unless you happen upon some of his documents or work.
yes, I just like to exercise all options should one arise. My other question would be is, do you, with your knowledge upon the Iron Bastion, would it be a place that could imprison someone like him?
Could it imprison him? Sure, it can imprison anyone.
Okay,
Would
rather,
he
would it be
thrive
able to
there?
hold
We
it?
cannot say. The Iron Bastion boasts that no one has ever broken free. I do not know, as I do not visit it. Nor do I believe any of the mages of the Mages Guild.
No, I have no connection with that place. All criminals and convicts.
I've got better things to do with my time than mess around with those convicts and degenerates.
Add that it is located within the cursed lands. Why would we go there without strict purpose?
Hmm. Understood.
Does anybody else have any questions for them?
I've got none.
Well, that sounds like that's all. We do thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Very well. I believe we can call this meeting adjourned. Should you come up with more questions, we will follow the same format as we did this time.